See? What the fuck? What the fuck? Nobody's down here. Hey y'all, let's get into more of Audacitii Stitch ghost story. I know y'all guys was like, where's the part 3, part 4? I think we're on part 4. But comment down below y'all thoughts on what was that flickering with the lights. I'm gonna shut up and go ahead and get these stories going.
Story that sounds completely unbelievable, but is entirely true. I'll go first.
I have so many of these, but like one just came back to my memory, and I can't explain it. So when I was 4 years old, my mom was pregnant with my brother, and she would take me to the doctor's office for her appointments. I remember going at least 3 times, at least. And this woman would meet us in the lobby that she had hired, and she told me she was just going to watch me while my mom was having her appointment. And I remember thinking, this is so weird. Why would this woman come in and watch me when my mom is literally sitting next to me watching me? And I couldn't stand this woman. And I have no other explanation other than she was a little heavy set with dark hair, which is like most people in America. So this woman was there every time that I'd go with my mom. And maybe a few years ago, I don't remember how long ago, I asked my mom, who was that lady that you hired to come watch me while you were in, while we would go for your appointments for Shane? And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I never hired a lady to come watch you while you sat with me. I was like, I know. But this lady was there every single time, and I could not stand her. And she looked at me like I was stupid. So I asked my dad, I'm like, did you remember Mom ever hiring this lady to come sit with me at the hospital while she had her appointments with the doctor? And he's like, no, never. So here I am at 37 years old, or 36, I don't even know, trying to figure out who this woman was
because this was before there was Uber, and in this particularly rural town that I was in, there was no taxi service. So some of the guys were able to find their way home, me not so much. And I made a bad decision. I thought I could make it. And it was probably only a 3 to 5 mile drive from that bar to where I lived. Got in the car, started driving home, and sure enough, I passed out behind the wheel. And I was awakened shortly thereafter by the blaring of horns, and I mean very big horns, and I woke up and I am getting ready to dead center punch an 18-wheeler. Now, my hands were at about 10 and 2. My hands were probably about 1 and 3. I tried to turn the wheel to avoid the collision, and that steering wheel would not turn. And I looked down there, and in between my hands was another set of hands that were not mine. They were long. They were about twice as long as mine, bony, grayish blue with black fingernails. They looked like those Halloween gloves that you can buy at Spirit Halloween. They looked just exactly like that, but they were on that steering wheel. And the part that I've never got over is if those hands were on that steering wheel, where was the rest of the body? I couldn't see that. So I try and turn this wheel, it will not move. The gas pedal is pegged all the way down, even though my feet are not on any of the pedals. Well, the adrenaline kicked in. And I was a pretty big old farm boy back in those days. I grabbed that wheel and cranked it just as hard as I could. And the instant I did, those hands disappeared. The gas pedal let off. I slapped the brakes, but I instantly lost control of the vehicle. Went off the road, down through a ditch, and right through a farmer's wooden fence. Came to a stop in his field. Got out, took a look. Yeah, I made it. I was alive.
Now that is spooky. Seeing a set of hands and then nothing is letting up. And you know when you get drunk, you are entering into the spiritual realm. That's why they say spirit and wine up on the bonnet. And then with the first lady, what the fuck was that? Who was that? And she said she never liked the lady. So I'm automatically, her intuition was telling her that it was something that was not good for her. Y'all comment down below what y'all thought. Let's get back into these stories.
Me and my sister and my mom, we used to stay in this house that sat right in front of a graveyard. Me and my sister's bedroom was located in the back of the house right beside the graveyard. And we used to always have a pile of leaves in our backyard because we had trees in our backyard. And y'all know how when y'all walk on leaves, it makes that sound. It sounds like you're walking on leaves. But anyways, on a Wednesday around 11 o'clock at night when everybody else was asleep, I really didn't go to sleep because I'd be up on social media. But I kept hearing like leaves rustling in the backyard, like somebody was walking on them. And you can hear the walk start off far and then get close to our back window because of the leaves. And every time that walk got close to our back window, it would be a little tiny tap on our window. And like I said, I'm the only one that's up at this point. But me, I'm just thinking it's the wind or something. So I just went back to scrolling on my social media. But I kept hearing the walk get far and then get near, get far and then get near. And it was like a walk that was slow. And every time the walk got back near to our window, the knocks on our window got louder. So I decided to get up and look out the window, but there's nobody there. And all of a sudden the walk just stopped. And for some reason, that only happened every Wednesday around 11. So one Wednesday, my sister decided to stay up with me because she wanted to see for herself because she thought I was just paranoid that we moved beside the graveyard. So she stayed up with me until 11 o'clock and it happened again.
My sister was 3 and I was 12, 13-ish. And my mom and stepdad were going somewhere. So they had this girl we had known for a long time come and babysit us. Her name was Macy, and she was probably like 16, 17 at the time. And the whole day is kind of like a blur, minus like this part of things happening. But we had done something that day. I want to say we had gone swimming or something. And so she'd put my sister down to like take a nap because she was tired because she was 3 years old. And she puts her down for a nap in her room, the room she didn't want to sleep in. So probably like, I don't know, 5 minutes after her being down for a nap, I'm playing Sims and like Macy and my brother in the living room. And the living room shared a wall with the bedroom that my sister was sleeping in. And we hear my sister start crying. So Macy tells me to go check in on her. And I go in there and my sister is sitting straight up in her bed. Now, mind you, I want you to remember this entire time that my sister was 3. So she's sitting straight up in bed, just staring at the closet. And I'm like, Sydney, are you okay? She doesn't say anything. Just staring at the closet, not blinking. So I'm like, Macy, you need to come in here. Like, I don't know what's wrong with her. So Macy goes in there and we're like, Sydney, Sydney, Sydney. And she's like not moving. She's just staring at the closet. Like, I don't even think she's breathing. Like, just literally staring at the closet. Now, mind you, we had just heard her screaming, crying, and now she's just sitting straight up in bed, like, not doing anything at all. So Macy like is like, we need to take her out into the living room. So we take her out into the living room and she's not blinking. Like, this kid's been sitting like this for like 2 minutes, not blinking, like just sitting there. And we are like freaking out. We're like, what is going on? So Macy, who's 16 and the adult at the time, who wasn't an adult, but you know, the fill-in adult at the time, is like texting her boyfriend and he's like, you guys need to start saying like, I rebuke you in the name of the Lord Jesus. So we start saying that. Like Macy, my brother, me all start saying that. And I can't even tell you how much time passed that Sydney was just sitting there like that. But we just started saying it, and then all of a sudden Sydney just like started crying, just like broke out of it, started crying and passed out. So when my mom got home, like we told her, and
I'm laying on the couch facing the front door. And this front door, it was an old country home, so it had a picture window and just a valance at the top. So I could see out onto the porch, and the porch light was on. And I'm laying there, and all of a sudden I see this elderly man standing there, plain as day. I can remember it. I see him. Like right now, I can see this man. He was wearing overalls, was wearing a flannel shirt. He had on this particular type of hat. I don't know what these hats are called. My papa had one growing up, so it must have been something that was probably popular, I imagine, in the 40s to 60s. He had just a little bit of gray hair coming out from under the hat, and I could see all of his wrinkles, just plain as day. I could see this man, but I could see through him, so I knew he was not a live in person. Like, I knew he was a ghost. So I scream. My sister comes, gets me, and I'm terrified. So she just puts me in bed with her.
Now, y'all comment down below what you think was after her. Now, the story before that, I think that was a demon, and the other one was a ghost, and I think that one's a ghost too, because she said she could see through it as well. But that's crazy how the sister fell out and passed out and all that good stuff. Comment down below your thoughts so far. Let's get back into
So
it.
I had a corner desk set up in the room, and that was where I would just sit and do like my drawing. So I have my little swiveling office chair, has my corner desk, my back is to the doors. So on the night in question, my husband is in the kitchen, so again, right behind our room, cooking dinner, and I'm sitting at the desk working on drawings or whatever. So I'm like hyper focused on whatever I'm doing. Our son is in his room asleep. My husband's in the kitchen cooking. The door between our room and the kitchen is open. The door between our room and the baby room is closed. Okay, so as I'm sitting at my desk, focusing on my drawing, I become aware that my husband has now left the kitchen and is in our room. I can hear him walking around behind me. It sounds like he maybe had gone into the closet, shuffled around and grabbed something. And then like the old wooden floors are kind of creaky. So whenever someone takes a step, especially if you're like walking sort of just like slowly, you can hear like creaks in the floor, and you can kind of almost feel the floor moving as you're sitting in a chair, right? Okay. So after a little bit of him pacing around kind of behind me, I feel him walk up next to me, or like right behind my chair. And so I know he's right behind me because, usually like you're sitting in your swiveling chair and it moves with you. Well, at one point I can tell that he's standing directly behind me, like with maybe his like chest up against the back of the chair or something, because the chair is held still. It's not moving around. So I'm sitting here drawing, but like the chair isn't moving with me. Okay. So then at some point I'm hunched over my drawing, I sit up like this, okay? And then I feel his hand on my shoulder, and it does sort of like a little like massage motion, and then like a little pat, and then he like rests his hand, just sitting his hand on my shoulder. And so I think he's just like watching me like drawing or whatever. And so I'm kind of like winding up my project anyway. So I like set my pen down, and then I didn't turn around and look at him. I just said something to him. Okay, I don't remember what I said, but as I'm saying it, I can still feel his hand like on my shoulder, right? So then, with this hand that is currently sitting on my shoulder, I hear from the kitchen, in a separate room, probably 25 feet away from me, I hear him say something like, "What did you say?" Or like, "Did you say something?" And I'm like, I cannot tell you the shock. If you have someone touching your shoulder and then you hear their voice speaking to you from another room, okay, so obviously I spin the office chair around, right, to face the doors. And as I do that, I feel the hand like kind of roughly like pull away from my shoulder. And then this like freezing cold blast of air like kind of blast like past me or like through me. Enough so that it like blew my son's door open. So his door was just like cracked, and now it's like almost all the way open. And then I see my husband start walking in from the kitchen all casual. He's like holding a spatula, and he's like, "Did you say something?" And I'm like looking at him all like flabbergasted, like freaking out.